مرصد الجهادية.
أهلا بكم إلى حلقة هذا الأسبوع من مرصد الجهادية، نغطي فيها الفترة من 28 مارس إلى 3 أبريل 2021. أنا نهاد الجريري. في العناوين: مقابلة الجولاني مع PBS، محضر قديم في منظر جديد، نبحث في سيناريوهات أسئلة لو طرحت عليه. مجلة The Diplomat تنشر عن مفاوضات سلام سرية بين طالبان باكستان وحكومة إسلام آباد. وإعلام داعش يبث صوراً خطأ عن بالما، نبحث في الأسباب. ضيوف هذا الأسبوع: الصحفي من موزمبيق توماس كوفيسي، الباحث البرتغالي راؤول براغا بيريش، والإعلامي البرتغالي نونو غوجييرو. وبإمكانكم الرجوع إلى أخبار الآن .net للاطلاع على نص هذه الحلقة والاستماع إلى البودكاست في نسخته المطولة على الآن .fm أو أي من منصاتكم المعتادة. نشرت PBS الأمريكية مقتطفات من المقابلة المنتظرة التي أجراها الصحفي الأمريكي مارتن سميث مع زعيم هيئة تحرير الشام أبي محمد الجولاني. لم يأتي الجولاني بجديد فيما قاله، أو على الأقل فيما بث حتى ساعة إعداد الحلقة صباح الأحد 4 أبريل. تحدث الجولاني عن العلاقة مع القاعدة.
حقبة يعني كان دخولنا مع القاعدة في السابق، هذه حقبة وانتهت يعني.
وهذا ما حسمه سابقا في مقابلة مجموعة الأزمات قبل أكثر من عام. تحدث الجولاني عن تصنيفه إرهابيا.
هذا تصنيف جائر وهو تصنيف سياسي يعني.
وأدار الطاولة على النظام فهو أولى بالتصنيف. وسئل الجولاني عن حقوق الإنسان.
الثورة السورية يعني بداخلها يوجد مشاكل كثيرة أيضا.
وهنا حدثت أمور لافتة. سئل عن اعتقال وتعذيب كل من توقير شريف البريطاني العامل في الإغاثة والصحفية نور الشلو.
ممكن تأتي منظمات حقوقية وتشرف على السجون وتشرف أو يعني تعمل جولة على السجون. نحن المؤسسات هنا مفتوحة للجميع.
لكن عندما سئل إن كان يؤكد أن توقير يكذب، قال
يعني بيعمل شو إعلامي هو.
فرد سميث: هذا
too.
أيضا استعراض إعلامي، من نصدق؟ سنأتي على ردود الفعل من أنصار ومعارضين، وفيها بيان لمواطن الخلل فيما قاله الجولاني. لكن ما الذي كان ممكن أن يقوله الجولاني فيحدث حقا ضجة في الأوساط الجهادية؟ ليت سميث سأله: ماذا تريد من إدلب؟ أي نوع من الحكم تريد في إدلب؟ إمارة إسلامية، نظام حكم شرعي، نظام حكم مدني، أن تكون وحدك في جمهورية أو إمارة، أو أن تكون جزءاً من كيان تتمخض عنه صيغة حل نهائي بعيد في سوريا؟ هل لك خطة لإدلب؟ ليت سميث شدد عليه بالسؤال في مسألة تعاطيه مع داعش والقاعدة. ليت الجولاني تحدث عن أسرار وخبايا قد تفسر انضمامه وانفصاله عن هؤلاء تفسيرا منطقيا يقبله العقل. على كل حال، كيف تعامل الجهاديون مع المقابلة؟ أنصار الجولاني نقلوا أجزاء منها مع هاشتاجات مثل لقاء القائد أبو محمد الجولاني. الإعلام الدالاتي اعتبر أن الجولاني خرج من الجمود والعزلة وسعى لحفظ الثورة من خلال إظهار المحرر بأبهى صورة. معارضو الجولاني من مؤيدي القاعدة وغيرهم فندوا كل جملة قالها في المقتطفات التي بثت. مزمجر الثورة السورية قال: الجولاني يربط مصيره بمصير الثورة التي قاتل فصائلها وخيرة شبابها واعتقل الباقين وصنع آلاف الذرائع للاحتلال. علي العرجاني أبو الحسن بيّن تناقضات الجولاني عندما قال:
أولا نحن لا نتصرف كحكام في المنطقة،
لكن في نفس الوقت لفت العرجاني إلى اعتقال شريف
عامل مع مجموعة رافضة للنظام العام الموجود هنا.
هذا تصرف حاكم. وفي مسألة استهداف أمريكا والاتحاد الأوروبي،
نشن حربا على الولايات المتحدة أو الأوروبيين من خلال سوريا، فهذا الأمر ليس بصحيح.
جلاد المرجئة ذكر أن الجولاني في لقاء سابق مع الجزيرة قال إن قيادة القاعدة هي من منعته من استهداف أمريكا، بمعنى أنه لو ترك الأمر له لفعل. وبالفعل المقابلة التي يشير إليها جلاد بثت بتاريخ 27 أيار 2016.
الإرشادات التي أتتنا بعدم استخدام الشام كقاعدة انطلاق لهجمات غربية أو أوروبية.
أنصار داعش احتفوا طبعا بالمقابلة لأنها تطعن في رأي وحكمة الظواهر والقاعدة. حساب مناصر قال: أليس ما يقوله الجولاني اليوم هو نفسه ما تقوله قيادات طالبان المتنقلة من فندق إلى آخر؟ لماذا حلال على طالبان حرام على الجولاني؟ فيما نشرت مؤسسة عمر الذراع الإعلامية لتحريك طالبان باكستان كلمة بالأردو لنور والي محسود أمير الحركة وفيديو عن تدريب المقاتلين، نشرت مجلة ذا دبلومات على الإنترنت مقالا للصحفي فرانس مارتي يكشف فيه عن مفاوضات سرية بين طالبان باكستان والحكومة الباكستانية. المفاوضات تمت في وقت ما من 2020 ووصلت مراحل متقدمة، لكنها انهارت في أواخر 2020 أو يناير 2021 على أقصى تقدير. الوسيط بين الطرفين كان شبكة حقاني. الحكومة طالبت بأن توقف طالبان هجماتها وأن ينسحب الجيش من منطقة القبائل مقابل أن تقوم طالبان بحراسة الحدود هناك. تطلق إسلام أباد سراح المعتقلين لديها من طالبان وتسمح لهم بتطبيق الشريعة في مناطقهم. لم يتضح للكاتب لماذا انهارت المفاوضات، لكن الأرجح أن خلافاً وقع في أوساط طالبان باكستان. جيل الشباب من المقاتلين لم يوافقوا على الشروط واعتبروا أنهم سيصبحون أداة لدى الحكومة في إسلام أباد. الصحفي حاول التحدث إلى مسؤولين وتحديداً في طالبان لتأكيد ذلك، لكنه لم يتمكن بعد. قالت السلطات الأفغانية إنها قتلت 2 يمثلان حلقة وصل بين طالبان والقاعدة في بكتيكا شرق البلاد. الأول هو دولة بيك طاجيكي المعروف بأبي محمد الطاجيكي، ويعتبر من قيادات القاعدة في شبه القارة الهندية. والثاني حزرة علي حمزة من وزيرستان وأحد قيادات طالبان. الاثنان كانا يخططان لتنفيذ هجمات مع حلول الربيع، وكان لهما دور مهم في تمويل القاعدة وطالبان بالعتاد والمال. إذن أعلن داعش يوم الاثنين 29 مارس أنه سيطر على مدينة بالما شمال شرق موزمبيق في الهجوم الذي بدأ يوم الأربعاء 24 مارس. أنصار داعش ابتهجوا طبعا، وعلق حساب مناصر عن التسلل بلباس الجيش الموزمبيقي في بالما وقال: وقتها الجيش صار يضرب بأصدقائه ظنا منهم أنهم المهاجمين، كانوا يضحكوا عليهم. ولكن يضحك كثيرا من يضحك أخيرا، على الأقل مع نهاية هذا الأسبوع. الصورة التي بثتها وكالة أعماق في خبر التبني لم تكن من بالما، وإنما من مسيمبوا دي برايا البعيدة عن المكان ساعة على أقل تقدير. في مساء الخميس 1 أبريل صدر عدد النبأ رقم 280، لكنه لم يتضمن صورا من داخل بالما. هل غياب الصور يلغي حقيقة أن دماراً وقع في بالما؟ أو أن داعش مسؤول عن هذا الدمار؟ طرحت هذا السؤال على نونو غوجييرو الإعلامي والمؤلف البرتغالي الذي كان من أوائل من تفحص الصور ووجد فيها ما يلفت الانتباه.
What we know 3 things. First, the video is either from Musimbua da Praia, which is a village south of Palma that was attacked in August. Actually, it was attacked 3 times in 2020. It has no one. It's a ghost town. It's a no man's land. And it stays at the end, so let's say to the east, to the coast, of an axis that is the most modern in Cabo Delgado. It's a road that is called Mocimboa da Praia Awas Road, which is like the only big asphalted road that exists in Cabo Delgado that could look like, let's say, a small highway. So we know that the video was taken in Mocimboa da Praia or close to Awas in the same road. So that we know for some of the structures that are shown, for the vegetation, for other elements like electrical posts, traffic signs. I mean, I could be here like 1 hour trying to explain more or less how we geolocated it. Most precisely, probably Mocimboa da Praia at a place called the BCI roundabout, where there is a way to the airport and another way to a bank called BCI. Okay, that's what we know. We also know, and we are trying to identify it like in a more detailed way. We know that this video is recent. So it's not the video from the occupation of the town in 2020. It's not a video from August 2020. We arrived to that conclusion for several reasons, including the weather, the apparent weather. Okay, so the pattern of clouds and the state of vegetation, but also other elements that we will not discuss here. So we believe it's a very recent video, not older than early February, the most January. Okay, so it's a video that was taken in the past 3 months. So in that sense, it's not false, it's not ancient. It's a very disturbing video for some reasons. First, you see around 120 fighters, what they call fighters. So only in the main frame, in the photo that you were referring to, we see 85 people. Okay, so around we see several groups. They are very well armed. They are very well equipped. They look like very well organized. They have a mix of weapons that look like they were stolen from the Mozambican defense forces, so police and army. But there are other weapons that are not stolen from them, that probably were trafficked either from Tanzania or from the DRC, so the Democratic Republic of Congo. Finally, for the first time, we see, and that is in the photo, in the video you cannot see so much what I'm going to say. In the photo, in the center, you see a black-clad gentleman, man, with a beard, that we believe it's either the Vali, so the governor of what they call the Central Africa Vilayat, or the Amir, so the war chief. So it's the first time that this person is identified in a video.
لكن أستاذ غوجييرو، الدمار حقيقي. هل داعش هم من هاجموا بالما؟
Some days before the attack, there was a series of warnings, regional warnings, that a very large group came from ISIS, from what they call ISIS Central Africa province, came from Beni in Congo. So we are talking about the east of Congo. There was this warning that there was a group that was coming from Beni that went to Tanzania and that met some commanders in Tanzania. And then part of the group went probably to Rovuma, which is the river that separates Tanzania from Mozambique. Okay, so this warning existed. There was not a clear warning regarding Palma, but we knew that there was some sort of movement from several of the groups that are active either in Congo and Tanzania and Mozambique. So something was brewing. No one knew it was exactly Palma. So that's the first point. Second point, I don't know if I'm going to say that more clearly, but some of the people that we see in the video were seen in Palma, that I can tell you. Of course, they were not dressed like they are dressed in the video, because in Palma, there were two types of attackers, people that were dressed like totally civilian, okay, to be confused with locals, but armed with RPGs and Kalashnikovs. So we have photos of these people. And others that had uniforms from either the police or the military.
إذن السؤال المهم، لماذا لم ينشر داعش صور من بالما؟
There could be several reasons. One reason, as they were fighting in small groups, so the infiltration was not an infiltration of a large group that attacked alone, so they divided the large group of probably some hundreds in very small groups of 5 to 10 fighters. Most of them, as I told you, disguised as civilians. Probably the conditions, the tactical conditions of the operation and the need for secrecy, and because it was still going on, would not let them take any picture or any video of what was going on, because they were still fighting. And also they didn't have much to claim. I mean, there was not a big site that was taken. For instance, the gas infrastructure was not even attacked. There were not military in uniforms that could be shown as killed, as all the policemen that were dead or wounded were recovered by the regular forces of Mozambique. So the dead in the Mozambican side were not taken by Daesh. So it would be difficult or impossible for them to photograph them or to film them. So that's another possible reason. A second reason is because until now, there is still a focus of fighting in several places. The army now is going house by house, trying to see if there are still groups inside of each house. It's a very, very dangerous and arduous task, and you need a very well-prepared army in special operations to do that. I'm not going to discuss if the Mozambicans have that capability or not. It's another subject, but it's still ongoing. So that could be also a reason why they didn't yet put something. Third possibility is that there are elements of the operation itself that are so secret, like some faces, the way they were dressed, that there was no clearance yet from the high command to be revealed.
الأستاذ نونو غوجييرو الباحث والإعلامي البرتغالي، شكرا جزيلا لوجودك معنا.
Thanks, it was a pleasure. Thank you.
مع نهاية الأسبوع تواصل تدفق النازحين من بالما إلى بامبا عاصمة إقليم كابو دلغادو. عن الشهادات التي رواها الناجون تحدثت إلى الصحفي الموزمبيقي توماس كوافيسي.
There are people who say that some of them are locals from Palma. They are young people who used to live there, but then they joined this movement. Some of them even recognize them. Some of them are young people from 15, 16, 17, 18 years old. And one of the things they say that these insurgents, they knew what they went to do there. They knew who to kill first. The first thing they did was to attack some banks. They attacked the government institutions, and then they start searching for people who belong to the ruling party, the Frelimo ruling party, and those who belonged to the government of Palma. So they went to the house. They knew where the house were. They went there to kill these people. So this is one of the descriptions they say. Other people, for example, workers from companies that used to work for Total, for example, they say that the insurgents as well, they used to go to the workplaces. They will ask who is there, and then they will start shooting, killing whoever they found. So it was a barbaric situation, you know. Some people who were working at that moment, they had to run away from Palma to Afungi, where the LNG project, the Total project is situated. They've been saying that from the moment they walked from Palma to Afungi, it's something like 10 kilometers. They saw dead bodies in the roads without their heads. They have been mutilated. This is what they have been saying. Yeah.
توماس، ماذا نعرف عن هذه الجماعة؟
Well, since 2017 that the attacks have begun, this group has never said what they want, what are the motivations, and what they really want in the province of Cabo Delgado. When we look at it from a distance, we see that this is a criminal group. But it's different compared to a criminal group, because the criminal group will maybe try to steal money or steal things belonging to people. But it's different when they attack villages in Palma. They burn them, they kill people, they cut their heads. This is very barbaric, and they haven't said what the motivations are. Many have been saying that this is Islamic extremists who want to implement Sharia, but the problem is with this assumption is that any Islamist who want to implement Sharia needs people to govern, but whenever they attack, they make the towns deserted, they displace everyone. So no one can implement a system to rule without people. And they haven't made any distinction between who is Muslim, who is not, who's Christian, who belongs to a different ethnic group. They just kill. And members of these groups, they also come from different backgrounds. They come from different ethnic groups from Cabo Delgado. Some are Muslims, some are Christians. But I think the common thing among them is that most of these young people are vulnerable people who do not have employment, do not have means to survive due to the poverty and lack of job and lack of occupation and so on.
أوكي توماس، قلت إنهم من خلفيات مسيحيين ومسلمين. المسيحيين تقصد إنهم مسيحيين تحولوا إلى الإسلام؟
Not really. The thing is, this group is not an Islamic group. People might say it's Islamic group, but it's a group where you see people from different backgrounds. It depends on the way we look at this group, In some videos, this group have claimed to be Islamists, Muslims, and all of that. Some of these people who have been captured have been saying that they have adopted the Islamic perspective in order to make people think that this is about Islam, but the real motives of this group is still unknown.
توماس كوفيسي الصحفي الموزمبيقي متحدثا من العاصمة مابوتو، شكرا جزيلا لوجودك معنا. إذن من هؤلاء؟ نعرفهم باسم شباب، وهم طبعا مختلفون عن شباب الصومالية. الشهر الماضي وضعتهم واشنطن على قائمة الإرهاب، وتحديدا زعيمهم أبا ياسر حسن، المعروف أيضا باسم أبو قاسم، الذي لا يزال شخصية غامضة بل ومجهولة. عن الإطار التاريخي سألت الباحث والمحلل السياسي البرتغالي الدكتور راؤول بارغا بيريش المقيم في العاصمة لشبونة. شكرا جزيلا دكتور راؤول لوجودك معنا.
Thank you, Nihad, for having me on your show.
دكتور راؤول، ما أكثر ما لفت انتباهك في هجوم بالما؟
That their modus operandi has been since 2017 has always been on the guerrilla attacks, the hide and seek. They attack and then they go to the bush. What we know now is that most probably, and being more difficult for the local authorities to catch them, is that this is a region very close to the border with Tanzania. And this last attack had at least 90 Tanzanians working with this group. So most probably they are seeking shelter in Tanzania. Palma is now, Palma was attacked and it's now a ghost city. I don't believe that any of these jihadis are sleeping there. The same way with Musimba da Praia. The whole pattern of attacks has been almost an irresponsible way, showing that they have no strategy whatsoever. They do the attack, they kill some people. Now they've been chopping heads of young kids. And this gives us also the perspective that they are doing this just to be on the news. They just want to show that ISIL is still alive and kicking and we are back and we are making a new base in the northern Mozambique. But there's no strategy. There's no boots on the ground from the point of view that they attack, they win the city, and they establish themselves there, and they have ways to defend themselves. This is not happening.
نعود ونسأل دكتور راؤول، من هم هؤلاء وماذا نعرف عنهم؟
In the early years of the 21st century, there was a split of a small group that was affiliated with the Islamic Council, the young kids that were coming from studying abroad with African Muslim agency scholarships. And when they come back as virtuosos, and they decided to make a generation gap within the Islamic Council. So they split, and they call themselves the Ahl Sunnah wal Jama'ah. And this was mainly in Nampula, which is still 500 kilometers away from Palma and Musimba da Praia. But all along this century, this group was starting to spread and become stronger and stronger, and more virtuosos in the sense that we know you are Muslims, but we are going to teach you again how to be Muslims, to the new praxis. So the first information that we have about this group in 2017, it points to this group of youngsters. It's this Ahl Sunnah wa Jamaat as a label, and then some entrepreneurs, some businessmen from Tanzania that were also the benefactors of some mosques in Tanzania that started to invest in this group, and in Palma, in Musimba da Praia, mostly Musimba da Praia in the beginning in 2017. So I would say as a conclusion that this started to be as a group of local young Muslims in Musimba da Praia, even the name Shabab, because the main language there is Kiswahili. In Kiswahili, Shabab means the same thing as in Arabic, youth. So I would say that it's not that they label themselves as Shabab, but if my kid is around those kids, I would say probably to my kid, I don't want you to play with that Shabab. You know, so this is also the labeling comes from the outside and not from the inner group. They even got their own hut working as a mosque. So if my kid goes to the mosque, I would say, I want you to go to that mosque and not to the Shabab mosque.
الدكتور راؤول بارغا بيريش، الباحث والمحلل السياسي البرتغالي، شكرا جزيلا لوجودك معنا.
لا شكر وواجب أختي.
وشكرا جزيلا لوجودكم معنا في راديو والتلفزيون الآن. أنا نهاد الجريري، مع السلامة.